Welcome to the latest edition of Ed Talks. We are in February of 2025. I think most of you looking at this are likely to be agents and in the property market, and most of you will understand that things are changing, or there is a threat of things changing from trading standards, producing upfront information, etc. And the word on the street is that come June, I know it's been part of what agents have been meant to be doing for some time, but come June, trading standards are looking to hang someone out to dry is probably a bit strong, but they're going to be looking to make sure that people are definitely being compliant. So when it comes to producing upfront information or speeding up transactions, saving fall-throughs, it all comes under the same umbrella for estate agents. But a lot of you will be looking there and thinking, well, what do we do about it? So I'm sitting here today with two people who have synergy, if not necessarily overlap. Hussein here is from Homey, which is effectively an end-to-end tech platform which aims to speed up transactions and communication. And Tim Main, I've talked to before, runs a business called Property Information Products, and their main product is a PIP data room. So it's a like you see at auctions, a data room for putting information in, but they now provide upfront searches. So I think it's fair to say at the moment that the synergy that I mentioned is that people who don't want to use the Homey platform can use a PIP data room as an alternative. And I think that the other thing just to mention here would be that Homey tends to get involved when the sale is agreed. So when a sale is agreed, if you're using the Homey platform, that gives you an opportunity then to really start taking ownership of the whole process in a much more efficient and tech-enabled way. Whereas perhaps with PIP at the moment, you can open a data room at the point of instruction, and it's a slightly, which I know is what Homey want to do as well. Is that a fair description?
Yeah, to an extent. So Homey, we have the ability for people to start the process straight away. So we want to get to a place where people have, similar to an auction pack, they have all of their TA forms and everything ready upon instruction of their property on the market. So when they do find a buyer, they're one step ahead of the game. So that's where we want to get to. It is a bit difficult, people doing it at the moment. So yeah, that's where we want to get to. We're at the sale agreed at the moment, but there's always scope, and there is opportunity using Homey where people can actually do that upon instruction as well.
Okay, well, you can read more, obviously, below this video. You'll be able to get a link to the individual websites. Tim, does that accord with what you think?
That's right, yes. We're very much aimed at starting at instruction, gathering any information possible at that stage, and digital forms and that sort of thing, to prepare the process. But I think there's a little extra that we're about to come on to in a minute.
Which is?
To reduce fall-throughs as well. Yes, speed up transactions, but there are some amazing stats that show that trying to sell the buyer searches at the point of sale can have an incredible effect. There are great people offering reservation agreements and that sort of thing from the point of sale, but 200 people were asked to pay for their searches at point of sale, so this is buyers. Not all of them did. Those who didn't took 120 days on average to completion, with a 42% fall through. Those who did pay, 79 days on average to completion, which is great for everyone, a little quicker cash flow. But the really important one is they had 0 fall-throughs. Now, 0 is never going to be maintained.
And this is who buying the searches? This is the buyers paying for the searches?
The buyer pays for the searches at the point that they get the memo of sale. And so isn't that amazing, the concentration, we're charging £280 at the moment for the searches. Just putting that money down gets that concentration from a buyer. So I think you get the benefit of the reservation agreement, you get benefit of committed buyer without any additional cost to the process.
Would you agree with those? Well, you don't necessarily need to agree with the exact stats, but is that what you're finding with
what you do? So I think if people show commitment and people are buying these searches and getting this information out, it shows to an agent and it shows to a vendor that they are serious and they're willing to put down money for the property. But yeah, I think that's the only thing. I think the only thing, and you may be able to explain this in a bit more detail for the people viewing, is a lot of people, and some people have come back to me and said, is it dependent on the searches or is it depending on the solicitor that you're using? And that's the question we get quite a bit.
The searches come from one of the top 3 producers, and I know CLC and all the rest, the solicitor organisations are trying to persuade their members that if you've got valid searches, use them. The only reason a solicitor won't possibly accept a valid search, and we've all had fall-throughs and sold them on to the buyer, the next buyer. So it's a process.
But the tech now exists to get hold of searches much more quickly, doesn't it? I mean, it is much easier to get searches than
the searches can come through, but sharing them is the important thing.
Yes.
I think what Hussein was hinting to there is some solicitors, because they might get a margin on the searches, want to do their own. So the important thing is that buyers inform their solicitors when they instruct them that they are buying their searches up front, and we are able to build into the process a thank you to the agent, because it's actually the agent who is selling the searches to the buyer. We can give a thank you, a financial.
Yes, you still need humans and experts in the process, and we'll come on to that in a second, because I know your platform is also a conveyancing tool where people can pick a solicitor, so it'd be interesting to hear how you do that. There was a very unhelpful piece in Property Industry Eye and various other trade websites yesterday talking about, I can't remember who the organisation was. Can you remember which solicitor's organisation it was?
No, I can't remember which one it was, because Law Society hadn't responded, but it was basically solicitors refusing to digitise.
Well, it was the fact that the government, I suppose the other thing that's worth mentioning here is that the government have said, as they're saying a lot of things at the moment, that they want to digitise the process. It's very easy to say, quite a different thing to do, and clearly you guys, people like Homey, will be at the forefront of doing that.
Sure.
The frustrating thing about this piece, and you can read it from Property Industry Eye. What's the date today? It was in yesterday, wasn't it? So today's the 12th of February, so it was the day before yesterday, wasn't it? So Monday the 10th. Which I did feel slightly unhelpful in that there are a lot of solicitors around who feel, no, we're solicitors and we should be doing this. They were talking about how estate agents make more money out of the process, forgetting that the process with estate agents with commission is that a lot don't go through, they don't get the money, they have to invest to accumulate, whereas solicitors get paid for their time regardless. It was a slightly frustrating piece. If you're trying to find a solicitor as part of this process, and you just mentioned, Hussein, that getting a decent solicitor is part of it. How do you get solicitors on your panel, your conveyancing panels?
Yeah, of course. So I mean, look, it's very simple. You will have a lot of people that are resistant to using digital platforms, but for us, it's about showing.
You mean solicitors who are resistant? Yeah.
So I guess it's just about showing the value. So one of our key values, and one thing that really engages the solicitors in there, is the onboarding tool. So at the moment, what you'll find is a lot of solicitors, they'll post, TA forms to you, they'll send them to you, you have to print them out, scan them. By the time that whole process happens, you're talking 2.5 weeks, right? And by that time, something could fall through, something could change, mortgage offers can be retracted. And what Homey allows them to do is all of the TA forms and all of the forms that a solicitor requires, client care letters, etc., actually built in to the system and customizable depending on the solicitor. So we're actually reducing all of that 2.5 weeks, 3 weeks down to only 24 hours. So clients are completing all of their TA forms and all of their onboarding forms.
But how do you find the solicitors that are on your platform? I'm assuming that agents, if they want to, can use their own solicitor as long as their solicitor uses the platform.
That's correct. So agents can bring their own solicitors on the platform if they want to use the Homey system. I guess finding the solicitors is very simple. We don't go out and fish for solicitors. We'll post the benefits of Homey and we'll post what it's creating. The time saving, the fall through rate saving, etc. And we naturally have solicitors coming to us and saying, I think it's time that we have to do this.
That's quite reassuring, the fact that solicitors are beginning to come to you, so we'd like to be a part of it.
That's the good thing, and that's the beauty of Homey is, we don't have to go out and get that business. That business is naturally coming to us because people, everyone in the property industry, their biggest pain point is conveyancing. And if we can solve that issue together and collaborate together, Homey...
I'm not 100% sure I agree that it's the big... it's certainly one of the ones that solicitors and estate agents, I know, I was an estate agent for over 40 years, so I know exactly what the pain point is.
Yeah.
A lot of solicitors get pissed off with agents because they think they're earning too much and they keep ringing up and saying, how's it going, how's it going? And there is clearly a level of expertise which is required from a legal mind to sort things out properly, because that's what you're paying for, is to make sure that the title's valid, etc., etc. I think the difficulty is, and the frustrating thing, maybe it's like life itself, is that older people don't like dealing with tech so much, and maybe it's the new solicitors coming through that are going to be the ones that are going to embrace it more.
I think this article on Monday really brought it out, is that there are lines drawn between solicitors and agents before they started. And this was just saying, digitise the process. Nobody was saying change the process. Nobody was saying doing anything else. It's just receive things by email, digitised rather than...
Yes, I read your comment underneath the piece actually. That is exactly what you said.
It is time for solicitors and agents to sit down and say, we work in the same business.
I don't think you're going to get solicitors and agents to sit down. That's not the way it works, which I think is why the government getting involved. I mean, I think a lot of the stuff that the government is proposing, I mean, we can talk about ROPA, which is a completely different thing with agents. I don't think that's a good idea. I think agents have quite enough regulation and stuff to go through. They just want to be able to get on with their jobs and not be regulated more. But I think in terms of the process, the frustrating thing is that more people aren't engaging with tech. And I really hope that this this watershed in June, when some estate agents are going to be found to be wanting when it comes to complying. And to my mind, all estate agents, any estate agent needs to do is to engage with a process, in which case when trading standards look at them, they're going to say, well, these guys are doing something, they're not doing nothing. And I think it's the people who are doing nothing that are going to be in trouble.
Well, I'm pleased to have some positive news on that, because trying to sell or encourage agents to use, say, data rooms, which everyone says is a great idea, but actually getting to the press...
Well, it works for auctions, so why shouldn't it work for private treaty?
They just didn't see the direct benefit 3 or 4 years ago.
Yeah.
That phone call this last week, when I've said, guys, why don't you sell your buyers some searches? You get a bit of income, but you get commitment from your buyers, you know, immediately. Yeah. Or in fact, agents can do it in 2 ways. Sell it to all their buyers, which some do now, or some say it goes truly under offer, no viewings if you buy your searches, or it stays on the market. You can have a...
Okay, sorry, let me stop you there.
The reaction is
very positive.
Much more positive about using the tech to do that. So it's good news that people are starting.
One thing I think a lot of people don't twig is that at a time when estate agents look at the market as being a bit difficult, they're looking for sources of income. So this, not only does it speed up the transaction, it means they get paid quicker, but it means they get an income stream. I assume that applies to your platform as well.
Yeah, exactly so. So I think, what we're working on together, it's not only an income stream. A lot of people get demotivated by the income stream coming on completion. The good thing is with searches, they're done up front, right? They're paid for up front. So the income that's coming to that agent and the benefit to that agent is coming up front as well. So they also have that incentive.
Upfront to agents, I would say, is instruction. This is at point of sale. So at point of sale, when the buyer buys it, they get that income.
Yeah, exactly so. So
yeah.
Sorry, so just upfront to you is
no, it's good.
Just clarity.
We all need to clarify this, because I know that what you're trying to do is to go end to end. So you'd like to be from instruction right the way through to completion. Clearly, what Tim's doing at the moment, most of what you're doing is actually at the point of instruction. So there's every reason to believe that there's going to be some synergy there. And I know from your 2 points of view that people who don't use the Homey platform can then perhaps use the PIP platform to start with. So there's some very good synergy there. So in other words, this effectively speeds up transactions. It answers the questions people might worry about with June coming up. It gives them an income stream. It means they get paid quicker. I mean, I can't sort of understand really what the negative is of any of this. I mean, is there anything I'm missing here?
Well, I think the one you've missed out there is reducing fall-throughs. And all the agents I've spoken to, that is key to their financial improvement. And whilst quicker conveyancing, we all know the longer they're out there, more fall through, and we'd all love a quicker cash flow. But actually, if they came in from 3 or 4 months average to 2 months average, it's a one-off shot of improved cash flow. But all the agents I'm speaking to anyway say if we could reduce by 25% their fall-through rate, that had a significant...
I know this is going to sound like a really thick question. How long do searches last for?
6 months.
It is 6 months, isn't it? It always used to be. I wonder whether that had changed.
Yeah.
Okay, so that's long enough for most people to go, certainly on the figures you were just talking about, even if it's the 120 days or whatever with someone not selling a search. The chances are for most people that is going to be enough. So that is, I know, a concern. I know most estate agents will be sitting there saying, why the bloody hell doesn't he know that? Well, I sort of do, but I didn't know it had changed. I've been out of the market running Viewer for a few years, so I haven't been actually involved day to day in the market. So is there anything you feel I've missed? I mean, I think people watching this, we've been talking now for 14 minutes or whatever it is, and I think that's plenty of time. Most people will be thinking, okay, we've learned what we need to what we need to learn. Is there anything I've missed?
Oh, I think we've covered a lot of it.
We can offer those searches to agents today. Get in touch with Homey or PIP, and we'll get you on the way.
I think the only thing that I would add to what you've both said, which I think has been great, I think it really sets it out quite clearly, is that one of the reasons I used to be given for fall-throughs happening so often was communication. and indeed 80%, so 4 in every 5 deals falling through because of lack of communication. The one thing that tech does, whether it's a platform or whether you're using a PIP data room, is it communicates whenever something happens in the process. Everyone knows about it.
Correct.
And that to me is a very useful bit of the tech process.
Yeah.
I know from my own point of view at Viewber, where we've automated the viewings process, how incredibly important it is to put tech into human processes. So I really hope that the estate agents watching will think to themselves, go and have a look at Homey and Pip. The links will be below here. But I really hope if there are any solicitors watching this, I don't want solicitors to get resentful about this potential change. It's not a change, it is a change, but it's a positive change.
For sure.
And I can't see why people wouldn't. I just hope estate agents and solicitors stop trying to knock lumps out of each other and think that they're all on the same side trying to do the same thing.
I had this debate with a solicitor yesterday, or a group of solicitors, and quite clearly I said, what we're trying to do is, we're not conveyancers. We don't want to get involved in conveyancing at all. All we're trying to do is get some of the information available to solicitors in one place so that they can do the clever bit of conveyancing.
Which only they can do.
Which
You've
only
got to
do.
remember that is something that only solicitors can do, or a conveyancer can do.
But what none of them were happy to tell me yesterday is what percentage of a conveyancer's time is spent conveyancing and what percentage is spent opening files, like Sarah's just said, or chasing information.
Yeah.
Basically, acting as an admin rep, and I'll say it openly on that, not conveyancing. So I believe we should be providing conveyancers with the correct information, so when they open the file, it's all available and they can charge their good rates for doing clever conveyancing that only they can do.
Well,
anyone can do the collecting.
Well, we know if it's a leasehold property, we know it's going to be more complicated. We all know that.
Yeah, but that's why they should be doing conveyancing and charging good money for it.
Yeah.
That's what I encourage the solicitors to do.
Good. Okay, well, I think that's probably said it all. So, as I said, things will be in the links below, so please go and have a look. Thanks very much for listening.
Thanks, guys.
Thank you.